Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you to another Outreach Society debates here in the House of Lords. I have the honor of chairing these debates, whilst Suaad Al-Faturi is the main person with her committee who organize these debates on a regular basis, almost monthly basis. We've had debates on many issues, ranging from Palestine to Saudi Arabia, from the effects of war on women and children to human rights generally in the world. And tonight it's a very important discussion or debate that we are going to have. It's in relation to Libya. All of you know about this, and some of us have received letters in relation to this too. Let me pay tribute first of all to Suaad and her team for being so brave. I say this as someone who had the honor of raising British flag in Tripoli back in 1999 when our diplomatic relations resumed on behalf of British government. I wasn't sent there to raise the flag, it was by mistake. The Foreign Office was trying to stop me but couldn't get through to me, and I was coming straight from the United States and had flown to Tripoli, and the diplomatic relations were resuming, and the late Robin Cook, a great man, a legend, who then called me and said, whilst you're there, you might as well do this job by raising the British flag in Tripoli. So I want to mention this because I don't want anybody to think that we come as enemies of Libya or we have some sort of other interest. This is purely on human rights issue, and whoever, if it's my own country, Britain, then you will always find us raising concerns here. So I don't think that there's anybody who should be left out, and particularly when we have so much concern. I was the first, after the diplomatic relations were resumed, I was the first elected chairman of the all-party parliamentary group on Libya here in Westminster, and for a few years we continued that. I'm not involved now, but I just want to mention that as a member of the United Nations, Libya has agreed to adhere to Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Despite being a sovereign state, which it obviously says Libya is, it's liable to regulations from the international community, and if it fails to uphold these obligations to ensure the human rights of its citizens, then the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as was drafted, the common standard of achievement for all people and nations. I could actually read all that, but the reason why I want to mention that is because for some reason the Libyan government think that human rights is an issue internally for Libya. Well, it is not. I know that we will hear from our friend from Human Rights Watch and others who have been from Amnesty International, who've been involved with human rights, and let me right at the outset say that the wonderful work both Amnesty and Human Rights Watch do, and thank you so much for continuously fighting for the rights of people around the world. So it's a great pleasure for me to be chairing this for Society Outreach, and for our first speaker, Jamal Al-Gamati. Gamati. I met him before. We talked about the human rights situation in Libya. We had a meeting here in the House of Lords a few years ago, and he is a political commentator on Libyan affairs, and please welcome him with a round of applause to Jamal Al-Gamati. Should we say about 8 minutes, because then it's all speakers, 8-10 minutes maximum, 10 minutes, and then we'll have a discussion. Is that okay?
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me first say a big thank you to Society Outreach and to Suaad for inviting me here, and to Lord Ahmed for chairing this meeting. This is actually my second time to come and speak inside the corridors of this great institution about human rights in Libya. The first time was in the summer of 2004, when I was invited by Lord Avery to speak about human rights in Libya as well. Lord Avery is the head of the Human Rights Committee within the Houses of Parliament, or the House of Lords and the House of Commons. Now, nearly 5 years after that seminar, I wish I could say that I can report a lot of progress in the area of human rights in Libya, human rights violation abuses. Unfortunately, as we will see probably tonight, a lot of the things remain the same. There has been some changes, which I will allude to if time permits. In the name of objectivity, we have to be objective and truthful and tell things as they are. Now, I'm going to talk about 3 key points very quickly, and I have to be very quick and concise with regard to the time constraints. First of all, I would like to talk about something very important, and that is the legalization of human rights abuse and violation in Libya. That is the laws and rules and regulations that are embedded in Libya, which actually do prohibit and violate human rights. Then I will come in briefly to something very important that has not been widely reported around the world, and that is the Abu Salim prison massacre. And after that, I will just mention some recent developments in Libya, as recent as just 2 days ago, directly connected with human rights. With regard to legalization of human rights abuse, we probably all agree that for human rights to be respected, for individuals and citizens to be guaranteed their basic rights, this has to be embedded and underpinned by law, by legislation, by rules, as well as by adhering to international human rights declarations, which Lord Ahmed has alluded to. Now, in Libya, unfortunately, the opposite is happening, or has happened over the last 40 years. What happened is that the abuse and violation of human rights, the stripping of basic human rights of ordinary Libyan citizens, have been legalized by laws and rules and regulations embedded in the Libyan law. And I'm just going very quickly to give you 3 or 4 examples. Law number 45 of 1972, known as the law prohibiting and criminalizing strikes and sittings and demonstrations. Article 3 states that it is forbidden to use strikes to solve disputes or to achieve a demand or a specific goals. Also, voluntary demonstrations and sittings are prohibited by law. Sometimes they are punishable by as high as death penalty. Another law is law number 71 of 1972, known as the prohibition and criminalization of party politics. In this law, for example, Article 2 states that party politics is a treason to the country. And then Article 3 states that punishment is by death will be applied to any person who advocates or calls for the establishment of a grouping or organization that is prohibited by this law, or actually established or organized or financed or prepared a place of meeting for such a grouping or organization. In other words, any form of grouping or organization, peaceful, open, transparent, public, whether political or otherwise, is banned in Libya, and it can be punished by death. Another law is law number 75 of 1973, decreed on the 10th of October, which officially nationalized all independent newspapers in Libya. And since 1973, we had no independent press or newspapers in Libya whatsoever. Law of Covenant of Honor, decreed on the 9th of March 1997, which basically states that those who are criticizing the political regime in Libya and classified as enemy of the regime should not only be punished themselves, but also their families and their immediate relatives and tribe and town can be punished as well. In other words, this law sets out what we call a group punishment for those who are seen as critics of the regime. Another law is Law number 19 of 1980, which prohibits the setup of any civil society organization unless it's approved by the government of Libya or by what's called the Libyan National Congress of Libya. In other words, civil society is banned unless it's sanctioned by the government.